welcome to Build. I'm your host, Simon Atkins. What a raucous crowd we have in today. As always, we're live from London, and today we're joined by a young superstar who is literally breaking the internet with 14.3 million followers on Instagram. She is a Disney alumni, but so much more than that. She's a singer, she's a songwriter, she's an actress. Please give it up for the very talented Sabrina Carpenter. They are loving you, Sabrina.
Wow, that was such a nice intro. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Now, if you guys at home would like to get in touch, well, you absolutely can. You can drop us a tweet at Build Series LDN. That's at Build Series LDN is our Twitter handle. Or, of course, you can drop us a comment or a question below this video on Facebook. We'll get to those a little bit later on. Sabrina, you are very welcome to the UK. Lots of fans here. How does it feel to be back?
Great. Thank you for letting me in. Country.
So when's the last time you were here?
I was here actually not too long ago. A couple months ago, I filmed a video with Jonas Blue for our song together.
Who was in just earlier on.
Literally, he just missed me. It's the worst. Like, we literally walked right past each other.
Oh, I bet that happens all the time.
I can always FaceTime him, though, so it's okay.
So your brand new single is out, Almost Love. Tell us a little bit about that and how that's come about.
It's the first single off of my third album, and I wrote the song with Stargate. Crazy because it kind of came a lot later in the process of writing the album, which I feel like that always happens. I've been writing it for over 2 years now.
Wow, it's a long period.
Yeah, right? I know, I'm getting old. And so then as I was like towards, I want to say the last 6 months is when it really felt like, oh my goodness, it's coming together. And Almost Love, it wasn't the first song I wrote with Stargate. It was after we had already written a couple of songs together. But I had the title Almost Love written down in my phone for a long time. And I think just because I've had these encounters so many times in my life, these almost interactions that never quite turn into anything, and they're these like relationships and you never quite finish the story. And it's kind of awful, so I wanted to write a really upbeat song about it and kind of enter my new album with a really confident track.
Shall we have a look at you in action in Almost Love?
We shall. Oh, go off.
Sing it.
It's almost love, but it could be love. Sing. Almost love. Hey. Almost love, but it could be love. Almost love. Almost love, but it could be love. It could be love. It could be. Beautiful. That last note was so good.
Sabrina, that was Almost Love, and the audience are loving it.
That was my show. I was watching that more than I was.
We have loads of social activity already. Sophie says you should sing in Argentina.
Just there.
Just there.
You should just...
Netor A says, come to Greece, we love you. Lara says, please do us a radio tour and come to Las Vegas.
I'm always on planes, you know? I'm always on planes regardless, but right now I'm in the UK. So I'm going to stay here for a sec.
What is your life like? Is it really hectic at the moment with your touring?
You know what, though? It's been hectic since I was 10. I think I really, that's not even a joke. Like, I really mean
really?
it. Yeah, because honestly, that's kind of when I started working, and then I just was bit by the bug in a sense, and I just didn't want to stop. And I think for me, I kind of am always that person that, you know, while I'm doing things, wants to be doing 10 other things, and I like to multitask, and I just like to push myself, so...
Is it really important
I sound so
for you?
fun to be around, right?
I'd say, well, you sound like an incredibly hard worker, and kudos to that. Is it very important for you to have a creative influence in everything that you do? For instance, your music video, do you kind of work along with the director and come up with the style and kind of how it's shot and what the storyline in that is?
Yeah, it's interesting. So that's the lyric video. The music video is not out yet, but basically with everything, you know, I'm very lucky that being, you know, a young woman in this industry, like I do have the biggest say in everything that I do. Because I think if it's not authentic to me, it's not authentic to you guys. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys are really smart. So whenever I do things that I'm like, oh, they're not gonna like this, like, or if I don't like this, I know you guys won't. So I just try to be true to myself in every way possible, and as creative as I can be. But I really do think I've had a lot of fun creating like this new visual world for my new album, and I can't wait to show you guys everything. But that actually, like, my sister and I came up with this idea of just wanting,
really?
Yeah, just wanting to kind of like like what would happen if I just went buck on karaoke at a bar in Koreatown. And yeah, we made that video, and I actually chose a friend of mine who's a photographer that I love to direct it. And that was like one of his first music videos that he's ever done.
So we don't have a release date for Singular yet, the third album.
No.
It's highly anticipated. How is it different from your first two albums, Eyes Wide Open and Evolution?
You know, I think so much growth happens in these years. They call these our developmental years. and with Evolution, my last album, you know, that was my first pop album. That was just like my first kind of stepping my foot in the water for the first time and just testing everything out and seeing what I could do. And then I went on tour. And when I went on tour, I was on the road for about 2 years. And I think every single night that you step on a stage in front of complete strangers in a place that you've never been, you're literally conquering fears every night, and you're building more confidence in yourself. So I just took that to the studio as soon as I got back home, and I wasn't afraid to be in rooms with people that, you know, were definitely doing this much longer than I was. And I think that that's how I just I had this voice that I wanted to be heard throughout this album, and I wanted you to be able to hear the confidence in the songs, not to just write songs about being confident, but for you to hear it throughout the album.
We've got a question on Twitter. Sabrina, what's your favorite thing about writing this album compared to writing Evolution?
Ooh, good question.
Hard question.
I learned a lot more about vocal production during this album, and I had a lot of fun with just trying as much as I can, trying different things with my voice, kind of acting with my voice in a sense, which just sounds really weird now that I said it. But really just you know, different backgrounds and ad-libs, and the people that I was working with just taught me so much. So I think I was a lot more loose during this album. You know, I wasn't drinking. I was just looser when I was in the studio.
Does that come with maturity and age and feeling kind of just more confident in yourself?
I do think so.
Yeah.
And I think there's always times where you're going to be a little bit afraid, but it's overcoming that just makes it so much easier.
We've got another question from Twitter from Arlene, who says, "Hi, I love you. What is one song on your new album you're most excited for us to hear?"
Ooh, that's a hard one. There's so many. With this album, because I had 2 years to write it, I didn't want any songs that weren't my favorite songs. So truly, when you ask me which one's my favorite, I don't have one.
Why did you pick this one as your first release?
Because it's just the beginning of summer, and I kind of wanted something that came out of the gate that people go, oh, I haven't heard that from her. And I think this is definitely a song that I haven't done before. And I think it's just the start of the stories that are gonna unravel in the album. So I just thought it was like a nice beginning.
Nice beginner.
Nice
Do we
entrance.
love it? Yes, we love it.
Y'all were singing it. I love you.
Right, let's go back to the beginning of your career, because you were cast in some huge shows, including Disney's Girl Meets World and also the Goodwin Games on Fox. They're huge shows to be cast in. That must have been a massively exciting time for you.
Yeah.
What age were you?
When I was like 12 and 13 when I did both of those shows. So honestly, it's so crazy just because so much has happened since I've done both of those different things. And I think you just learn a lot. I was really lucky that I kind of had those as a really great playground, you know, to learn and experiment on and make mistakes, because I was surrounded by people that, you know, gave us nothing but love and wanted to help guide us and to become, you know, not only like good actors, but good people. So I think that was really important.
But what is it like being thrust into the limelight at that age, working on huge shows at such a young age? It must be a real shock to the system.
You know, the only thing that's weird is everyone will get you water whenever you want it. And like at home, no one does that. So like you go home and no one's like, do you want some water? Are you parched? So like when I get home, it's like you kind of have to like have that balance of like it's a job, and when you're there you're very, very lucky that people are taking care of you because you're focused on other things, but you also just have to remember like we're human.
When you're at home you're like, sis, get me water now.
Yeah.
Or were you?
My sister's so nice though, you know what I mean? So she would get me water if I asked her to.
So just, I want to know, like, what was life like then, though? Are you trying to, like, juggle your studies as well as a hectic filming schedule? How do you deal with that, or how do you juggle all of that?
Yeah, I was in school the entire time that I was filming all those things. So I went through high school on sets, and we were schooling with the other kids in the classrooms. And, you know, I think it's a weird way of growing up. That's for sure. And there are some times where I really wanted a locker. I had this weird obsession with, like, wanting a locker, and I never had one. So if y'all know what that's like, just tell me in my DMs, because I really want to know. And that was the only thing that I feel like I really missed out on. Prom is what it is. You know, I've heard some are great, some aren't. So I'm living my best life.
You're obviously multi-talented. As I said earlier on, you sing, you act, you songwrite. Is there any one creative outlet that you absolutely love? And if you had to choose one, which would it be? Another tough question, Sabrina.
Very tough. Because I'm doing them all for a reason, you know? And I think it's really because I can't choose. But I think there's a time for all of them. And I think for me, I've just kind of let life guide me in a lot of ways. And I think I have a problem sometimes with living in the moment, but I think this, like what I do, has kind of forced me to do that, because it's always changing. And sometimes things are thrown at me and I just have to kind of go and do them, you know, when I'm not prepared for it. So I don't know. They all teach me different things. I think with my music is my voice, and my music is that outlet for me to get my own creativity 100%. It's me getting through to, you know, whoever's listening. And then with acting and different projects that I'm able to do, you don't have as much of control in the projects that you get. And sometimes you get projects that you go, really? I did good in that audition? Like, that's what always happens. So, but then it'll take you on, like, a little journey that you never expected to go down.
And it's always a new experience.
Always.
We'll talk about your acting in a second, but first, we've had a slightly random one on Twitter. Anna asks, pineapple on pizza or no?
Yes? Why?
It's sweet and yummy.
They're shouting no behind you, but you're shouting yes. This is a controversial subject. I don't know if we should be discussing this.
Have you ever had pineapple on a pizza?
Yes, I have.
And did you like it, Sabrina?
Not because I wanted it, but because it was there.
Okay. So what's your favorite pizza topping?
I love cheese. Yeah. Yeah, I really...
Margarita pizza.
You know, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of a plain Jane when it comes to pizza. So when I was little, I used to love mushrooms on my pizza. Weird, right? No. Okay, but wait.
You're dividing the room, Sabrina. You're dividing the room.
Okay, but now I hate them. Now I don't like mushrooms on my pizza. So I feel like I Benjamin Button myself when it came to, like, food taste, because I literally started with something that, like, kids shouldn't like mushrooms, but, like, as you get older, you know, your taste matures and then you like mushrooms. Now I don't like them. I'm sorry.
So maybe you should try pineapple. Jess asks, what were your thoughts when writing Almost Love?
What were my thoughts?
What were your thoughts? Were you thinking about love, almost being in love? Are you in love?
I was thinking about a lot of things. I think for me also, that's like one of the songs on the album. You know, when you're a young woman and people, okay, I'm not gonna give you like some weird talk, listen. But I think, like you were saying earlier, like I started working on a show when I was 13. So I think for people to kind of see you go through a change is always very weird. And no matter how you take it, you could go the slowest and people will still, like anything you do, it's because it's weird to see someone when they're 13 and they're acting like a 13-year-old, and then it's weird to see them at 19 and see that they're not still acting like a 13-year-old. So I think that Almost Love was one of the songs that I was like, are people gonna say things that I don't want to hear? And yes, the answer is always yes. And I think that if you're not afraid to do something, then it's probably not worth it. So then after that, I was like, it's good that I'm afraid, because it just shows that I'm growing, and it shows that, you know, I'm taking the steps in a way that has never felt forced for me, only in a way that I feel like I'm ready to do. And I have to thank the people that I work with for allowing me to do that and giving me that freedom, because I never felt like it was forced upon me. But so there was like a lot of feelings when I wrote Almost Love, because I felt like it was this kind of new step, new sound, new content, and that can always be nerve-wracking.
Well, it's clearly working and working with our audience today.
Thanks, guys.
Let's talk about your acting. So you are doing a bit more acting at the moment. You were recently cast in a feature film for Fox called The Hate You Give, and also you're set to star in the short history of The Long Road opposite some big names like Stephen Ogg.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more about those projects and what they're like to work on?
Both very different projects to work on. But again, like we said before, you know, sometimes projects choose you, and it's for the best. That's the best case scenario, really, because the experiences that I had on those sets were two completely different ones, and I learned so much from them. The Hate You Give, I was really lucky to be a part of. It's based on a book by Angie Thomas, and they adapted it into a film. It comes out October 19th. I play a character that no one's gonna like, which was really exciting for me, because I think it's playing a character that represents a lot of people in the world right now, and I think it's sometimes scary for us to see ourselves in a light that we don't want to see ourselves in. So I was really, really lucky that they allowed me to be a part of that movie. It's, you know, it's a subject that we have been dealing with in our society for a while now. And the way that they cover it is through this young girl's eyes. And, you know, you'll see more when you see the trailer. I think it comes out later this month. And when I saw it, I, like, literally had chills. I was crying. It was a mess. So I think you guys are going to feel the same way. And I'm just so excited. And then, sorry, you put your mic up.
I was
talk so much,
do you find it hard? No, we love it, honestly.
Okay, great.
I was just going to say, do you find it hard to get into that headspace and into that character?
For this one, yeah, because every line she would say, I would go, why are you saying these things? Because she's awful. But then I realized, like, the reason that this character exists is because there's people in the world like her. And I thought, you know, someone has to represent that in order for, you know, people to see the story in the way that they're supposed to see it and digest it in the way they're supposed to digest it. So yeah, it is hard sometimes, especially when it is a little bit more of a dark headspace. It was a little bit harder for me for the other film, which won't come out probably till next year sometime, Short History of the Long Road, because I was playing this young girl who grew up in a van her entire life with nobody but her father. And then I'm kind of forced to live on my own. I won't tell you what happens, but it was probably like the most emotional draining project that I've ever had to do. And I dyed my hair brown, and like there was no makeup throughout the film, so I just felt like a different person. I know so much about vans now, in case you wanted to know anything. Yeah, so they definitely put you in an interesting headspace. It's harder to get out of the headspace than it is to get into it.
Back to music for a second before we go. Can we just talk about touring? So you've toured with the Vamps here in the UK, and also you toured with Ariana... And you toured with Ariana Grande for Dangerous Woman in Brazil. What do you love about touring, and what was it like touring with both of them?
I love touring. Oh my God, mostly because I get to see you guys. You are so cute. Not to generalize you, but yeah, most of you really are. So, no, I didn't mean it like that. I meet some grown men, and I wouldn't categorize them as, anyways. So... I love touring. No, really, I have such incredible experiences touring, and I think it's a lifestyle that no one can teach you how to do. You just kind of are thrust into it, and you learn so much along the way. I just realized, by the way, this whole time my nail's broken, so I'm really sorry if you had to like see this.
Did anybody notice your nail broken?
I was supposed to be aware of it, and I wasn't. And this whole time I was thinking about it. So, anyways, yeah, my experience touring with the Vamps was in, you know, obviously all around the UK, and that was my first ever arena tour. And to open up for them was amazing because their fans are wonderful, and it really like gave me so much practice. And then opening up in Brazil for Ariana was...
That must have been insane.
Insane. There's so... Every experience is so different, but, you know, I still love touring, which is a really good sign, because it can do a lot to you. It can definitely stretch you.
Sabrina, sadly, that is all we have time for. We could stay chatting all day. But thank you so much for coming into Build. We've loved having you on the couch.
Oh my gosh.
Almost Love, Sabrina's brand new single, is out now, so do go and grab yourself a copy. And the release of her album, Singular, will be happening at a date later this year. We're not sure when, but she will let you know. Give it up one more time, please, for Sabrina Carpenter, everybody.
I love you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sabrina.